again, whispering into cameras. It's opening morning of archery season. It's just getting light now. I have a trail camera in front of this stand where I've been getting pictures of deer the last few days. So I'll see if they show up today. It's full moon, so they may have been out feeding all night. They were hitting these soybean fields pretty hard, but now the soybean has turned. It's dry. It's standing and it's dry. It's a nice morning though, it's pretty clear. It's cool, but it's not real cold yet. It's cold enough to see my breath. I had been getting some trail camera pictures of some nice bucks, but not very regularly. Recently, actually, I checked my camera yesterday down at my other stand at the other end of the farm, and I've been getting pictures of coyotes there very regularly, and that's the first time all year I've seen them, because I leave my cameras out all year long. One of them looks like he has mange really bad. His tail is completely bald. His hair looks really rough. I don't know if he'd make it to winter. He's in pretty bad shape. But let's sit tight and see what happens. Well, as you're seeing from that video, the deer crossed right in front of me, but not quite within archery range for me. I would say they were 45, 50 yards, but they were in thicker brush. It's pretty thick in here. It's surrounded by crop fields, but there were 3 of them. Pretty sure it was 2 mature does, 1 yearling. I've also seen another doe in here with 2 yearlings, but I didn't see her this morning. But they came right past me. Well within muzzleloader range, but not within archery range. And there's a lot of thick junk out in front of me here. But now the wind is after shifting. The wind this morning was coming into my face and blowing this way. So I expected the deer to come from this side, but now it's after changing. It's coming in from the hill on this side. It's coming down this way and going this way, so I'm gonna switch stands. This was the stand last year where I had hit that deer. She was standing out in the path there, and I tracked her and tracked her and tracked her, could not find that deer. We never found that deer, even until late season, so she had to have survived. It was just a flesh wound. But that deer this morning stood in exactly the same spot. I had seen them on my trail camera where they were coming towards me. They were coming from this direction and then coming back towards me. They didn't do that this morning. They walked straight across in front of me, and they walked out into the clearing, out to the path there. And then they continued on down into the woods, and then down towards the pond. They're probably going to bed up down there. But at least we've seen some deer. Not much else moving though. I have a good view of the soybean field on this side of me here. I can see a long way down that valley, and I haven't seen any deer crossing the field either. I'm gonna switch locations, and I'm gonna go down to my other stand at the opposite end of the property. It's higher up on the hill. The wind doesn't affect me as much, but the wind now is going the wrong direction for me now. It's coming from behind me in towards the woodlot. Behind me on this side, there's a big thicket of pine trees that the landowner planted years ago, and it's super thick in there. A lot of times the deer bed down in there. There's CRP right here. I have a couple of grass trails that go around the pine trees, and then on the opposite side of it, on the neighboring farm, there's soybean, and then in the front of this, on this farm, there's soybean. And this is just a big wood thicket that runs right down the middle of this drainage valley in the farm, and the deer use it a lot. But I do have another stand up there that I set up. They were using that pretty frequently. Then they stopped. Like I said, once the soybean turns, then they don't eat it. Once the soybean turns, it starts to dry, they won't touch it. When it's green, they're all over it. But once it dries and it turns brown, they won't touch it. They'll still eat the corn though. Sun is just coming up behind me. Okay, I think it's time for a move. Well, I just had a small buck pass me by. He was within range. He was 25 yards, but he wasn't legal. I actually probably got a picture of him on my trail camera. He came out from the edge of the woods here. He walked right along the edge of the soybean. Then he turned directly, cut a trail in right towards me. I could see 2 points on the top. I just couldn't see that third point, so he walked. They let him walk. He was a healthy looking deer. A couple of years, he'll be good. I have been seeing a 7-pointer in here occasionally, like a high basket rack. But we'll wait a little while here, and then later in the morning I'll probably shift. Not to make too much noise, but I'll give it a little while here yet. That was good to see him. funny. The jig is up. I've been busted. You got another month, buddy. Squirrel season is coming. Okay, here we are, location number 2. I have been seeing that big buck around this stand, but not recently. You can probably see out here in front of me. This is all soybean. Last year it was corn, which gave me a really good funnel. And then an edge situation here where the corn ran up the field. Now on the top of the hill here, because it slopes up away from me this way, there's still corn up on the top of the hill. And then there's another little woodlot on the other side of that. So the deer still travel here, but not as much as they do when there's corn planted right next to the woods. But they were hitting this soybean hard when it was green, but now it's dry. It's standing, but it's dry, and they won't touch it. They won't eat it. But if I see that buck, there's no mistaking him that he has a G3 point that's laying flat. It's actually going flat across his head. It didn't grow straight up. So I can identify him real easily. I've seen a couple of other bucks, small 8-pointers and stuff. But now recently I've had a coyote pass in this stand too. One decent coyote, another one looks like he has mange really bad. I'm gonna sit in here this evening and see if I see anything. I know they were cutting some of the soybean on the opposite side of on the opposite farm, just over the hill here, but they haven't cut this here yet. Yeah, I haven't got a lot of deer activity around this spot recently, although they do still travel the valley here behind me. This is a tough spot to get a shot though behind me with a bow. I have pretty much a 25-yard range with a bow here, which is more than adequate for a decent bow shot. I'm pretty accurate, out to 45 yards with this crossbow. Shooting targets is easier, when you're shooting at a live animal like that, it's not worth taking a risk, a shot further than that. Much higher potential for hitting a twig or hitting a branch, or having a wind correction being off and wounding an animal. It's not worth it. I like to get them as close as I can. And this crossbow will shoot easy fist-sized groups at 30 yards all day long. Is loaded with squirrels again. Well, we're gonna hang tight and see what happens here. And I will not hesitate to shoot that coyote. This is the first time now I've sat in this stand, probably since muzzleloader season last year. So there's not a lot of human traffic down here at all. I'll come and check my trail camera pictures about once a week. I try not to scent up this area at all. In the early season, I have better potential to see a good buck here because they don't get any pressure. There's a little more activity down at the other end this morning where I was because I mow the grass and stuff. So there's always people moving around. Although the deer tend not to mind, farm equipment and stuff like that, or lawn mowers when we're mowing. I've had deer walk right past me. I had a pretty good morning already. I seen 4 deer. I had one buck come within range of my stand, but he wasn't legal. He was only a Y point, a Y 4-pointer. On this area in PA, I have to have 3 points on one side. That's including a brow, or 3 points on his main beam. Anything like that would be legal. But he needs at least 3 points on one side. He was a decent size, and he was a good, healthy-looking deer. He just didn't have antler size. He's young yet. The problem with that is sometimes when you get a buck like that, that's a forkhorn or a spike buck, and all they're ever going to be is a spike buck. If he doesn't have the right genetics, he'll never grow that 3rd point. The squirrel messing around under me here. It won't be too long before muzzleloader season is here. That's the 3rd week in October. Well, I can't run my muzzleloader. Alright, let's sit tight. Yep, I think it's time to switch stands. The dust off of that thing is absolutely awful. I haven't seen any deer in here this afternoon at all, not one. Ooh, it's like a tornado. Dust. Well, it is that time of year. Nothing you can do about it. They're gonna cut that soybean now while it's dry before it rains. They want rain early next week, so that it's gonna be cut quick. All right, maybe we'll shift spots again. Well, we're gonna call it a day for the first day bow hunting. I did switch spots. I came back to an area where I was hunting this morning. I seen one other deer, a doe, coming in from the soybean end of the woods, but I think she went into the bottom of the woods there and bedded down. So I'm not gonna make a lot of noise and spook her out of there. I didn't see her come out the opposite side, and she didn't come down towards me. So I'm assuming that she went in there and laid down. I have seen them lay in there. They will bed in there. I'm just watching the wood edges here to see if I see any deer moving. They work up the edge of that field there. The neighbors were cutting the soybean down where I was sitting earlier on, so the dust off that machine is awful. It's like a volcanic ash from the chaff from the stalks where the machine it spits out the back of it. But it is what it is. The guys have to get their crops in. So I know now the field was empty. I seen that feral cat that I was getting on video, but I'd never seen the coyote. I didn't see the coyote. But my trail camera's still down there, so if he continues to show up, I'll get photographs of him. I'm gonna walk out this way now and see if there's any deer in the soybean edges or on the edges of the corn when I'm on my way out. But it was a pretty successful day. We seen the feral cat, I seen 5 deer, 1 buck, and a John Deere. All right, we'll see you on the next one.